My name is Emma. I'm 35. I used to believe in forever, in vows, in loyalty, in the quiet strength of love built over time. I married Daniel when I was 23. We met in college. He studied architecture. I was in journalism. We were young, hungry for the future, and completely entangled in each other. By the time I was 30, we had a home just outside Seattle, a sweet golden retriever named Milo, and were expecting our first child. Life looked like the kind of fairy tale you frame on your fireplace, but behind the curtain, the cracks were already showing. Daniel had become distant during my pregnancy. I chalked it up to stress. We both worked long hours, and I told myself he'd come around. He still kissed my forehead every morning, still made me peppermint tea at night. But he no longer looked me in the eye the same way. I convinced myself it was hormones, mine or his, that something would shift after the baby arrived. And then came her, Sophie, my younger sister, the wild one of the family, beautiful, unpredictable, magnetic in ways I never was. She moved in with us just for a while after breaking up with her boyfriend. She said she needed space, family, warmth. I welcomed her in because she was blood, because she was broken, because she was my sister, and because I was blind. What I didn't notice at first were the lingering glances between them, the private laughs in the kitchen, the way she started borrowing my robes, my lotions, my life. She became an echo of me, a version of me before stretch marks, before swollen ankles and maternity bras. Then one night, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs for some warm milk and heard them, voices, low, intimate, close. I peeked into the den, and what I saw made the glass slip from my hand. She was wrapped around him like I had been once. His hand was on her thigh, and he wasn't pulling away. I didn't confront them that night. I went back to bed, curled around my unborn daughter, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. Часть вторая. Разоблачение, падение и трагическая развязка. The next morning, I smiled. I made breakfast. I acted like nothing happened. I needed time. I needed proof. But more than anything, I needed to understand why. I started watching, listening, reading his messages while he showered. I saw everything, texts about her scent, pictures taken in our bed, plans to start over after the baby was born. They were waiting for me to break, or maybe to disappear. The betrayal didn't just come from their affair. It came from the way they planned their happiness around my suffering, the way they saw my body carrying new life as something disposable, the way they decided I was in the way. 2 weeks before my due date, I packed a bag and left. I went to a friend's cabin, told no one, shut off my phone. I gave birth to Lily in silence, pain and determination. She looked just like him, and yet all I saw was her future, not his past. When I returned 6 weeks later, the house was empty. They had moved in together, my sister and my husband. They even posted about it. New beginnings, healing journeys, soulmates. I burned the wedding album. I sold the house. But the ache didn't go away. I wasn't just grieving a marriage. I was grieving the woman I used to be, trusting, warm, full of belief. And then, one cold February night, I got the call. They were driving back from a ski trip. A storm, black ice, the car flipped. He died on impact. She survived, barely. Coma, months of rehab. No memory of the accident. I sat by her bed one night while Lily slept in my arms. I looked at Sophie's broken body, and for the first time, I didn't feel rage. I felt release. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I realized I didn't need revenge. Life had already written the ending. Now it was my turn to write the next chapter, one where I'm not a wife, not a sister, not a victim, just Emma and Lily. Survivors of a story we never asked to be in, but strong enough to end it with grace. Part 2. What came after I didn't leave right away? That's the part most people don't understand. I stayed. Not because I forgave him, but because I didn't recognize myself without the pain yet. My identity had become so wrapped around our life, our daughter, and the lie we'd built that walking away felt like tearing out parts of me I wasn't sure could survive on their own. But life has a way of forcing your hand. It was the silence between us that finally broke me. Not the yelling, there wasn't any, not the accusations. We'd stopped talking long before those. Just silence. Long dinners without words. Empty mornings with coffee brewed and untouched. We had become ghosts in the house we built. Then came the night he didn't come home at all. No excuse, no call, no lie to soften the blow, just absence. And in that absence, I saw clearly. I was waiting for someone who had already left me emotionally. I had been grieving a marriage long before it died. I packed 2 bags, one for me, one for our daughter, and I left while he was still gone. The hotel room smelled like lemon disinfectant and panic. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor for hours, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life or the bravest decision I'd ever had the courage to follow through. The next few weeks were survival, finding a lawyer, registering for a new apartment, changing schools, sleeping on a mattress on the floor while furniture deliveries were delayed. But something shifted inside me. Every document I signed, every step I took away from that house, every moment I tucked my daughter in under a new roof, I felt a version of myself coming back. Not the woman I was before him, but someone new, someone forged from betrayal, heartbreak, and a raw kind of freedom. And then, one rainy Wednesday, the call came. It was a car accident. He was hit by a truck on the highway. They said it was fast. He didn't suffer. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just stood there in the kitchen holding my phone, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the rain tapping on the window. And then my knees gave out. Grief is complicated when love and betrayal live side by side. I hated what he did, but I loved who he was, or at least who I thought he was. I went to the funeral with our daughter. I held her hand while she said goodbye to a father she adored and I no longer recognized. And then I walked away for the last time. This isn't the story of a woman who triumphed neatly over tragedy. It's not a redemption arc with a perfect new love or a final scene in a sunset. It's a story of survival, of choosing yourself when the world you built crumbles, of loving fiercely, losing deeply, and still daring to begin again. And if I learned anything, it's this: sometimes the most heartbreaking endings are the ones that set you free.